Good afternoon. I want to first start off by saying Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. And then also, as we regard and talk about the game from last night, had the opportunity to be able to watch the tape. And again, it was very impressive to see, how we played up front on both sides of the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage, and really being able to rush the way we did for 232 yards, I thought was very impressive. And just the mere fact of how we finished on the defensive side of the ball, just with, total domination up front, getting to the quarterback, putting pressure on him when we had to, and coming up with the sacks in a critical situation. Can't say enough about special teams and how we flipped the field, protected the ball, then turned it over. We had him inside the 5-yard line twice, which was tremendous, and really trying to make him go the distance. And, one guy that really stands out, Sam Franklin, just played tremendous after watching the tape and the things that he's doing. So excited about where we are. We still got a long way to go. We got to find a way to get our first win on the road. So we're going to enjoy this little mini bye, try to get a few guys healthy and get them back. And then come back on Monday and get ready to work. And with that, I'll take your questions.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll go to David Newton first, followed by Steve Reed.
Hey, Steve, congrats on the win last night. Wanted to ask what's the latest on Donte Jackson?
He is getting a MRI today, and then we'll find out some information later on today about his status.
Is it look possibly season ending or?
I really don't know. David, I'm not trying to speculate and get into the medical realm of how they see things. I know it's Achilles, and I'm just going to wait and see exactly what the MRI says.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Steve. Moving forward, I guess you got some time, but is PJ going to stay as the starting quarterback? And also, how will you handle the 3 quarterbacks on the roster as you move forward?
Well, as I stand here today, PJ will be the starter. I still want to take the weekend to assess, really, as I get into the Ravens and just starting a game plan and figure out what's the best opportunity for us as Panthers. And we'll continue to evaluate the quarterback position. I'll meet with those guys on Monday and give those guys clarity as we move forward.
All right, let's go to Joe Person, followed by Mike Kay.
Hey, sorry, Steve, just to clarify, so would you anticipate PJ starting next week?
Yes.
And then you mentioned special teams. How big a weapon has Johnny Hecker been, not just last night, but this entire season?
He's been a big weapon for us, and to be quite honest, he's just been a big addition to our team. A guy that's a veteran guy. He's coming off a Super Bowl team, so he's bringing a lot of experience. And it's a lot of things that I see as a coach that you guys may not see what he brings to the locker rooms. But when you get on the field, and that one punt that he had last night was just pinpoint accuracy, deep, and then the opportunity where he pinned it to the sideline where the guy couldn't catch it was outstanding. So he's been a great addition.
Oh, sorry about that, Steve. We brought up last week you potentially filling out the staff with some interviews or whatever during this mini bye week. Do you plan on assessing the coaching staff and potentially adding to it?
I'm always just really trying to evaluate the players as well as the coaches, and I assess things over the weekend and talk to Scott. But right now, I have no pinpoint any guys that I'm thinking about bringing in. I've talked to a few guys just through text and a few on the phone. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out what's the right mix in moving forward. So right now, no.
And if I could follow up on that, you brought up Scott. It does seem, since you have taken over, that a lot of the guys that he's brought in have started to really thrive. What's been the relationship like during the week when you guys have set up the game plan, and how much collaboration is there between you
I mean, we communicate quite a bit daily throughout the day about personnel, certain guys that we want to try to bring in. I'm giving him my ideas and my philosophy of how I see things and, certain things that we need to do. So I love where we are from a standpoint of our communication, and he's very supportive and helpful in regards to that.
Let's go to Nick Carboni and go back to David Newton.
Good afternoon, Steve. What was the biggest correction you thought you guys made defensively against the run to hold them to 33 yards in the first half?
When you look at last week, it was really a lack of execution. Guys not standing at gaps, possible lack of communication from a standpoint of really seeing the formation and trying to leverage things. So that would probably be the biggest thing that we corrected, is just really more execution and detail in our work. As I mentioned last week, it wasn't really a schematic thing that Cincinnati did to us. It was more a lack of execution on our part. So I was very pleased with the effort and, most importantly, the details that we had last night.
And given the shirt you're wearing this afternoon, how closely, as busy as you are, have you been able to follow West Charlotte's season here into the second round of the playoffs?
I talked to the coach quite a bit. He and I got a good relationship. So I'm going to try to get out there tonight at West Mac. We're playing tonight. So love my West Charlotte Lions, and hopefully I can get out there and support them tonight.
Hey, Steve, I want to follow up on the run game. How much is your influence of being in the room with the offensive guys during the week been on the commitment to the run game that we've seen here the last 4 weeks?
Well, I think it's just really the mindset that I wanted to try to create up front. Just it starts up front from a standpoint of running the ball, trying to create an element that we're just going to be hard-nosed and tough and physical. And we've really adopted that philosophy. And, Ben and I, again, communicate quite a bit throughout the week, even during practice, seeing certain things, and most importantly, during the game, with our dialogue and exactly what I want done. So I'm very pleased. I told the coaches this morning, we had our meeting. I thought the guys did a great job in all three phases with the game plan, with a short week, and getting these guys ready to play.
And just kind of off the wall question here. I don't know if you saw the video of Baker headbutting the offensive line, kind of celebrating last night. He wasn't wearing a helmet. Did you see that? And what was kind of your reaction?
I did not see it, but someone told me about it, and that's Baker's personality. You know what I'm saying? He's just that kind of guy, and I just really can't commend him enough. Just being a great teammate, always being there for the guys, and just really staying engaged.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, let's go to Joe Person, followed by Augustus Stone.
Hey, hold on, Steve. I've done something here. Sorry about this.
No problem.
Anyway, I don't know what I've done, but the question being, you held up your finger last night in one game at a time approach, obviously, but do you want a carrot for these guys to see as they, as you stay in contention in this NFC South?
Of course, you want the guys to understand the potential that we have. But I think, I always talk about stay focused on being focused. And to me, that is all about one game at a time, being 1-0. And the philosophy that we have is just, win the day. And today when we come in, we team meet at 1 o'clock. We're going to go through this tape. It's about winning the meetings, and then, you got to have treatment. We work out. It's about winning, your workout. All the little things that I think that puts us in position, all right, to eventually do what you're talking about, which is hopefully have the opportunity to still compete and win this division.
And then quick follow-up, you were talking about the O-line. How much does this particular group's skill set match the downhill, aggressive style you wanted to implement?
Well, I think number one, we start across the board. I think those guys are extremely smart, and if you really watch them, how they communicate and ID formations and alignments and the Mike linebacker, that to me is where it starts. And you look at, how we pull and get on the perimeter. Even Icky, when he gets outside, I mean, he's extremely athletic, and we knew that's what he really brought from NC State, was that run blocking and that bad boy mentality. And Corbett coming from the Rams, is just bringing again that identity. You got Bozeman up front leading the charge, so they definitely create the mantra that I'm looking for.
Hey, Steve, I wanted to ask just kind of a follow-up on what you mentioned, evaluating all three quarterbacks. When you're looking into this weekend and kind of just thinking through that room, what exactly do you want to see from them? What are kind of the pinpoints that will help, kind of determine who will be the starter, who will be the backup with those three?
I think is really more or less what I'm looking at from a standpoint of Baltimore, and what they're doing from a scheme standpoint, and what I feel like, what's going to be our best game plan, to beat those guys. So when evaluating that and trying to make a decision, that's when I would come back and figure out, okay, what do we need to do at the quarterback position?
And are you going to continue to do that week by week, past that? Do you see that extending past Baltimore, like, okay, with the next opponent, we'll take it kind of with that position?
I think, exactly where we are right now at that position. It's still an ongoing process where you got to evaluate certain things. Would you like to have someone that, is definitely your number one guy that you can commit to? Of course, but I think we have three good options, and I want to make sure that I put this team in the best position to be successful.
Thank you.
As you guys get ready for the next question, I don't feel your presence today, man. I just love you guys being in front of me. I missed that today. Even you, David.
Let's go to Mike Kay, followed by Steve Reed.
Steve, from a defensive schematic standpoint, Frankie Louvu looks like you can kind of use him in pretty much any role at linebacker. How much does that help you with disguising kind of your front seven and using him in an aggressive style?
It helps out a lot. I thought Frankie had a good game last night. He really bounced back from last week. And you're right, he can do so much. Number one, he's just extremely talented. He can rush, does a great job of really setting the edge in the run game. You look at some of the things he did last night, running the ball down from behind. Great job, like I just mentioned, setting the edge on the perimeter. So good blitzer, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So he creates problems and allow us within our scheme to try to move him around. So I'm open, again, trying to get Jeremy Chin back this week and trying to create some of the same elements.
Steve, I have to disagree with you. I'm okay not being in David Newton's presence for a day or so here. A whole weekend would be nice, actually. Just want to follow up on some other injuries. Ioannidis had a calf injury, and there was one other. Can you update us on anything you got with other injuries?
Matt right now is still he's getting his MRI today as well. Nothing concrete on him for his, the results. And then I'm thinking right now about some other guys. Nothing jumps off right now that is real pertinent. So again, I'm just waiting to hear back from Kevin about all the MRIs, and then as soon as I know, I'll let you guys know.
All right, we have time for a few more. Let's go to David Newton.
I appreciate the love there, Steve. That made me feel real special. How much of the run game has been impacted by Bozeman being in the middle now? I mean, it seems like it took off once he took over center.
He's definitely a major plus for us, but I think it's just really all those guys up front, and I think you really have to give a lot of credit to the guys that are running the football as well. Foreman, Chuba, Blackshear, Spencer Brown when he was in there. So I think all those guys are doing a great job, and it's just really, once again, it's by committee. And we talk about this all the time, just with many parts but one body of work. I just think everybody's just really they bought into the philosophy and the mindset that we're trying to create, and everybody's just going out trying to do their job.
And as you kind of look back on what happened since you took over, what do you feel like your best accomplishments have been so far?
Just really the mindset of fighting, and just trying to be resilient because within this league, as you saw last week, you're going to hit some doggone rough spots. And, it's all about how you come out of that, how you respond. We talked about Wednesday night about this thing being a heavyweight fight. And, you don't have to win every round, but you got to win the fight. And that's what those guys did last night by bouncing back, So that would probably be my proudest thing is just really the mindset that we're creating. It's just, really was what Carolina Panthers is all about. Is just keep pounding.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good bye weekend and good luck to you, West Charlotte team.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, let's go to Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Steve, you talked about Marquise's game last night, obviously the 2 sacks at the end. Just what can he do for you guys moving forward? Do you see his role increasing? And then I believe as a defense, you had 11 tackles for loss yesterday. What was the biggest reason for that?
Well, with Marquise, the one thing, and I would say this across the board for everybody, I would tell him to be consistent. He has great talent. What you saw him do last night, that's what he's capable of doing on a regular basis. So we got to get him to be more consistent. Excuse me. And then again with the tackles for loss, creating negative yardage, is just really the urgency we had up front for just coming and getting off the ball. Our thing was we wanted to try to get these guys in the 2nd and long, 3rd and long, was trying to create negative plays on 1st and 2nd down, which allowed us to be able to blitz and go after Mariota when we did. So that was the key in the game plan.